and good evening, everyone. I am here solo for now, maybe for the whole call. I don't know. Teresa unfortunately got stuck at work, and I am having a crazy hair day today. But the show must go on, right? We're talking about the power of your subconscious mind still. We are on chapter 4 this week, and I don't know about you, but I love this chapter so much. It's about mental healings in ancient times. And if you've been following along, you understand that this whole book is basically talking about the law of assumption, the law of attraction, the law of belief, and how what we command our subconscious mind to think and believe is what we will experience in our reality. And so in this chapter specifically, he's talking about healings and he's talking about healers and how there are examples all over the place, including in the Bible from literally ancient times, about how we have been healing ourselves with programming our subconscious from the beginning. Like right in the beginning of the chapter, it says, in the religions of antiquity, priests in the ancient temples gave drugs to the patient and practiced hypnotic suggestions prior to the patient's sleep, telling him that the gods would visit him in his sleep and heal him. Many healings followed. Obviously, all this was the work of potent suggestions to the subconscious mind. And that's the whole point that Teresa and I are always trying to drive home, is that your subconscious mind has so much to do, everything to do really, with what we're experiencing in our reality, because what you tell your subconscious mind to think and believe is what you'll experience. It says favored suggestion and acceptance by the subconscious mind of these people by making a powerful appeal to their imagination is how these procedures were carried out. And what he's saying is basically they would tell them they were mixing like lizards with resin, frankincense, myrrh, pounding it all together, making sounds so they could hear them mixing this stuff, right? And the whole idea is that they are drawing on the emotions, the senses, the mind to create this vivid picture of what's going on so that the mind will believe what's happening, right? And it says actually in all these healings, the subconscious mind of the subject was the healer. And he goes on to talk about the Bible specifically, and he says, what things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them and ye shall have them. That's Mark 11:24. And so what he's talking about here is believing and accepting as true the fact that your desire has already been accomplished and fulfilled. This is something that Neville Goddard really made popular, and I don't know, I'm going to say the 80s, but could totally be wrong, with the law of assumption, right? Acting as if it has already happened. Success of this technique depends on the confident conviction that the thought, the idea, the picture is already a fact in mind. And this is why visualization is so important. This is why being careful of what you're saying is important. This is why it's important what you're feeding your mind. If you're watching movies that are not depicting scenes of a life that you want to live, you have to be careful, because that imagery is being imprinted on your subconscious, and then it's impacting what you're creating in your reality. So if you don't want to have in your reality what you're watching in the movies, you need to be careful about what movies you're watching, right? This is why in a previous episode, Teresa and I were talking about how we are very careful to only watch movies that support the life we're trying to create. And something that I do, my husband likes to watch a lot of like gory war, Mad Max-esque movies. And so I just kind of set the intention before we start that nothing I'm about to watch is going to penetrate my subconscious mind, because I understand this is entertainment only. And then while I'm watching the movie, and this started happening actually quite a long time ago, and I wasn't doing it on purpose initially, but I started being able to really see the acting, if that makes sense. Like I can see past what I'm looking at, and I know that they're reading from a script and they've practiced these lines and they're on a movie set and there's, directors behind the camera. And so when I'm watching movies, especially ones that I don't want to commit to my subconscious, I intentionally make sure that I'm looking and seeing how they're acting and picking out the the set pieces and the parts. Obviously it's all scripted, but I make a point to really highlight those things to my subconscious so that it's in line with my intention, that what I'm watching is not something I want to experience further. It's just I'm watching this with the intention of spending time with my husband and my son, and I'm not committing it to memory, right? And then so he goes on to talk about the Bible again. And he says, in following the biblical technique, you completely eliminate from your mind all consideration of conditions, circumstances, or anything which might imply adverse contingencies. You are planting a seed or a concept in the mind, which, if you leave it undisturbed, will infallibly germinate into external fruition. Right? It's like Jesus always said, according to your faith, it is done unto you. And he talks about in this book, and you've probably thought about this before, when you plant a seed, whether it's in your mind or in the garden, like let's talk about like actual literal planting. When you plant a sunflower seed, or you plant a bean seed, or you plant an asparagus seed or a carrot seed, you expect to have it grow, right? You don't dig up the seed to see if it's still growing. And you don't plant a carrot seed and then hope it's a carrot. Like you're not like, oh, well, what if it comes up something different? What if it comes up like tomatoes? Or what if it comes up potatoes? Like, you planted a carrot seed, it's going to come up carrots. And this is how we need to be treating our subconscious mind. A lot of us, I think the issue becomes an issue when we plant a seed for, say, abundance, and then we see in our reality that we don't have the abundance. And a lot of the time, I think what ends up happening with abundance specifically, let's just talk about this for a second, specifically is people are planting the seed for abundance when they need more money, but then they're not being grateful for all the other abundance around them. Like if you think about it, you're already abundant in so many ways. And I've said this before. Some of you may not know this. My husband, son, and I were living in Nicaragua for 15 months, which is a third world country, if you're not familiar. It's just above Costa Rica. And it's a third world country. And they don't have so many of the things that we consider to be like regular things. Like we take them for granted on a regular basis, but they are full on luxuries. Like if you have a cell phone plan, like let me put it this way. The people in Nicaragua, I'm talking like there are basically two classes in Nicaragua. There are the rich Nicaraguans, and then there's everybody else who doesn't really have any money. There's no middle class. Either you have money or you don't. And so I'm speaking specifically of even the people who do, they still don't have a good medical system, right? They still don't have a good judicial system. They still don't have a great education system, right? So they are still not as well off as even the worst off Canadians, Americans, us in the first world, right? But so the Nicaraguans that I was around most, just because of where I was living, we were living in San Juan del Sur, which is it's a tourist town. The Nicaraguans with money live in Managua. They go to the beach to vacation or spend the weekend at the beach, and then they go back to the city. They want to be in the city because a lot of them, from what I experienced at least, I don't mean to lump everybody, but from what I experienced, the rich Nicaraguans want to be more like Americans. And it's funny because the Canadians and the Americans go there to be more like Nicaraguans. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, so everybody who's not in the main city, I mean, they live elsewhere. But then, like I say, the Nicaraguans with money live in Managua, and the rest of them live like elsewhere. So we were around the ones that don't have any money. So or very little money. So they might have minutes for their phone, they might not. So a lot of them don't have data. A lot of them don't have cable. They don't have Wi-Fi. A lot of them don't even have refrigerators. Okay. Like there was a guy working for my sister-in-law who didn't own a fridge because he couldn't afford the electric bill. So he would every day on his way home from work, go and buy or pick up from a friend the meat and the vegetables or whatever they were going to eat. A lot of them eat just rice and beans because that's what they can afford, and they don't have to store that anywhere, right? They don't need a fridge. They don't even need a stove you can do that on the fire, right? They have outhouses. They don't even have walls on their homes. Like the one guy, actually both of the guys that worked for my sister-in-law, like regularly the gardeners, their houses were like, for the lack of a better term, like basically wood, like leaned on each other with like a kind of a roof. There's like holes, and like it's not like full walls and ceilings like we have, right? They didn't have windows, they don't have doors. Like we take for granted what we have. They don't have hot water, which I know you're going to say, okay, well, but it's a tropical country. What do you need hot water for? I'm telling you right now that even in a tropical country, you want to at least have warm water. Because we lived in a house that did not have hot water for 12 of the 15 months we lived in, or 11 of the 15 months we lived in Nicaragua, we did not have hot water, and it was not that much fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, especially when it starts getting windy, you want a warm water. So I I say all the time, if you live somewhere where you can stand in the shower with warm water on and running, like while you shampoo your hair, or because when we were living at the second house in Nicaragua, even when you have water, but it comes out of a oh, what do they call that? Like a cistern, basically, right? And so it's a limited supply. So you have to turn the water off while you soap, and then you turn it on to rinse, and then you turn it off and you shampoo, and then you turn it back on and you rinse it out, and then you turn it back off, and then you condition. Like, for look how much hair I have. Okay, you know how long that takes. And so I have to stand there in the shower being cold because there's no water, right? That I don't want to waste it. So if you live somewhere where you have running water, warm water that you can leave running while you're standing in the shower, like, you already have so much more than so many people. Like, this is just one small country of the world. There are many countries, many places that operate like this. So when we're looking at abundance, you need to understand that you are already so abundant in so many ways. Like, if you have a roof over your head, you're already abundant. If you can breathe, there's an abundance of air, right? An abundance is anything that you have more than enough of, a surplus of, right? So if you have food in your pantry, if you have food in your fridge, I don't care if it's just mustard and, a thing of pickles in your fridge, or if you've got a a fridge full of food, or if you've got, just crackers in your pantry, or you've got, canned, and, even if it's just like, ramen noodles and things, you have food in your house, right? So you're already better off. So when we're talking about abundance, we need to be putting in perspective that we are already so abundant. If you have people that love you, you are already abundant in love, right? So it's keeping it in perspective. But back to my point, when we are focusing on what we actually want to bring in, we can bring more of that in, right? He says, according to your faith, it is done unto you. So if you plant that carrot seed, or you plant that seed for more money, you plant that seed for abundance, you plant that seed for growing a business, you plant that seed for finding the perfect partner, you don't need to dig it up to make sure the universe got your order. It knows already. All you have to do is then continue taking action, right? I say all the time, there are three main steps to manifestation: knowing that what you want is meant for you, knowing that it's on the way to you, and then taking the inspired action to meet it halfway. Right now, I know some of those steps are harder than others, and I know that it's even hard getting to the point where you know that it's meant for you. But I promise you that it is. Like, I literally channeled a message from God the other day that said, look, I actually, you know what? I highlighted it this morning, and I'll read it right to you because it was so good. I channeled this message. He says, make sure they know they are loved, and I am always behind their dreams. I only want the best for them. Them is you watching. If you're watching this message is for you, actually. There you go. What they want is because of me. I have put their desires in their hearts because I want that for them. Everything in your heart, I put there because I want that for you. I want you to experience the most beautiful of lives. Why has it taken so long, you ask? Well, because you've denied me over and over again. Now that you are open to me, I may bless your life in ways you've only dreamed of. Okay? So we need to stop doubting that what we want is coming to us. We need to have faith, which is truly real faith, is an understanding of how your subconscious and your conscious mind works together. Because when you understand how it works, it's really like, you can't unknow what you know now. And now you know enough to know that your subconscious mind is what's calling the shots. So if you can plant a seed for what you want in your subconscious mind, you will start to know and believe that it will come to fruition, right? You're starting to understand that you plant a seed, it can't not grow. You focus on something you want, it can't not manifest, because you understand the power of your subconscious mind, right? You understand that what you focus on is what you have to experience in your life. Okay. So there's a part in here that says, There's a story about this guy who goes to this temple in Japan, okay? And he sees this man and this girl um, bowing and lighting candles at this statue of Buddha in Japan, right? And so the man is praying and he's bowed low and he's placing 2 oranges as an offering for the Buddha, and the little girl is lighting a candle. And he said she had lost her voice and it was restored at this shrine. She was thanking Buddha for restoring her voice. She had the simple faith that Buddha would give her back her singing voice if she followed a certain ritual, fasted, and made certain offerings. All this helped to kindle faith and expectancy, resulting in a conditioning of her mind to the point of belief. Her subconscious mind responded to her belief. So this is why manifesting rituals work. And this is kind of funny that this chapter is coming up today, because I was working on, I'm creating a resource library on my website. And if you'd like access to that, you can just comment freebie below and I'll make sure you get a link to the library. But so in there, one of the things that I put in the resource library is my 6 manifesting rituals to flex your manifesting muscles. And the reason I made this guide like 4 years ago was because I learned and experienced myself and saw in my clients and the people that I was helping that once you've experienced that you can manifest, it's much easier to do it again. So the whole idea behind this guide is like, here's just 6 like really simple manifesting rituals you can do starting right this second that will help you flex your manifesting muscles, that will help you manifest something small or something unexpected or just whatever. Like, and it can be as little as like you want to see a butterfly, or you want to see an angel number, or you want a cup of coffee, or you want an unexpected gift or something, and it will manifest. And then the more you can do that, the more you're proving to yourself and your conscious mind that it's possible, right? But I also say in that manual, and I was saying today to somebody else actually, that manifesting rituals work, and they work because they help you create the belief, right? Like she says here, she had this simple faith that Buddha would give her back her singing voice if she followed a certain ritual, fasted, and made certain offerings. So basically, she was like, okay, I know that if I do these things, what I need and want is going to happen. So I'm going to do these things. And she knew that doing them was going to result in what she wanted. And that's why the rituals work, is because there's already proof that they work for other people, right? Because it wouldn't be something that anybody talks about if it didn't work. And you're taking the steps, you're following the motions with faith that it's going to work. So therefore it does, right? It's your faith in the steps that makes it work. But the problem is with manifesting rituals alone is that they are a band-aid solution. Because what I find a lot of the time happens, and I say this in the resource library, and I say this even in the guide, I say, look, these rituals work, but they are meant to help you get a feel for what it's like to deliberately manifest something, because we're all manifesting all of the time, right? It's to help you get a feel for what it's like to manifest something deliberately. But rituals are a band-aid solution. You do not want to have to be in a position where you constantly need to have a ritual to be able to manifest, right? You want what I want for you, what Teresa wants for you, what I see as the true way to master manifestation is to master yourself, is to understand how your subconscious mind works, reprogram it so that you are just effortlessly creating everything that you want. Like your world just starts to unfold the way that you want because you've changed the way that you see and interact with the world around you, right? You want the sustainable methods to manifesting. You don't want to be stuck doing the rituals forever and ever and ever. The rituals are helpful. They're great for beginners, especially. They were great for me when I started. I saw, like, there was one ritual that I did that's in the guide called the 555 with a specific affirmation. And I started to see results of it by the third day, by the second day, third day, I started to manifest unexpected money, and it was amazing, right? So that really helped me get a feel for how the manifesting rituals work and how effective they are, right? But I don't want to have to be writing something down 55 times, 5 days in a row every time I want to manifest something. I would rather shift my subconscious mind and the way that it's programmed so that I am attracting things on autopilot. I want to upgrade my frequency, my consciousness, so that I am just aligned with higher frequency things, and I don't even need to I don't really need to deliberately manifest anything because good things just happen to me all the time. Actually, one of my clients today, she was in our group chat for my VIP inner circle, and she was like, she was going on for like literally 10 minutes. It was like probably 12 or 13 different messages of all these amazing things that happened just today, and how one thing after another, after another, after another, after another just worked out for her. Like, and these are the things that I think people, it's not as exciting as like a windfall of thousands of dollars, but when you have a full day of errands that just so happens to work out exactly the way that you needed to, and this stop was available and the customer service was amazing here, and then, you know, her son went over and ran an errand over here, like a big boy chore, and went to the post office in the same store she was in and came back, and that was great. And then her mom, you know, worked out this way that she could help her mom with her errands, and she got her errands, and then it ended up being that their last errand took them, she didn't even realize this, right by her husband's office. So she was able to stop in and see him for lunch. And then she got a case of cantaloupes, and like just all these amazing things happened. Just the whole day was just amazing because she's been doing the work. She's upgraded her frequency. She's upgraded her consciousness. She's been doing the work, and also appreciates these things working out the way that they do, right? And the more that you appreciate the way everything is always working out for you, the more that it can happen that way. So he goes on to say there is basically one universal healing principle, and it is that your subconscious mind is the common denominator, right? He says it will be in order to recall to your mind once more the following fundamental truths. First, that you possess mental functions which have been distinguished by designating one the conscious mind and the other the subconscious mind. Secondly, your subconscious mind is constantly amendable to the power of suggestion. Furthermore, your subconscious mind has a complete control over the functions, conditions, and sensation of your body. He says, I venture to believe that all the readers of this book are familiar with the fact that symptoms of almost any disease can be induced in hypnotic suggestions, subjects by suggestion. And so this is the placebo effect, basically, right? You've heard people say that they were cured given a placebo, or that people, like, if you just suggest, if you have somebody who's chronically sick, if you just suggest that you might be getting a cold, next thing you know, they are sick. They don't even have to be exposed to the germs. That is how powerful your subconscious mind is. And he says there's examples in here, like if you put somebody in a suggestible state, like with hypnosis or something, and then tell them with just a cup of water that they're sniffing pepper, they will start to sneeze. They'll smell pepper and they'll start to sneeze. Right? The subconscious mind is so powerful, and that's why we need to be using it to help us create the world we want instead of letting it run the show and not realizing we have power over it. Right? He says there's only one process of healing, and that is faith. There's only one healing power, namely your subconscious mind. Select the theory and method you prefer. You can rest assured if you have faith, you shall get results. And this is why mindset work is so important. This is why my handle is at Mindset to Manifest on all of my social medias. Feel free to follow me wherever. Because manifestation is literally a mindset. I came to this realization about 4 years ago. It's literally a mindset. Like, if you believe it will work, it will work. And that's the law of belief, right? If you believe it will work, it will work. And this is why, for those of you who are in entrepreneurship of any kind, you understand that your mindset around your business is like 80, 90% of the success rate. And the rest of it is the actual product, the actual tangible, like systems you're using to push it out, right? Then I say this to my clients all the time, when you're launching a business, when you're launching an offer, when you're doing, whatever you're doing, if you believe that the method you're using is going to work, then it will work. If you have doubt that it will work, it will not work. And there's nothing you can do about that except shift your mindset, because that's where the power is. It's in your mindset. If you do not believe in what you're doing, it will never happen. Right? So you need to remind yourself frequently that the healing power is in your own subconscious mind. So when you are, specifically, if we're talking about healing, like ailments, pains, issues, we need to be focusing on the fact that we have power of our subconscious. So for example, about, I don't even, it doesn't even matter. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I forget now, my dad got Bell's palsy. And so it was really scary, actually, because at first he thought he had had a stroke. And he was going to the hospital and got all checked out. Thank God I didn't find out about any of this until he had already been, had the issue, gone to the hospital, been checked out, and been told it was Bell's palsy and not a stroke. Like, that's when I found out about it. All of this had already happened, and I was so thankful, because if I had thought that he had had a stroke, I would have been a nervous wreck, which is probably why nobody told me. Anyway, so he was diagnosed with Bell's palsy. And so this, for those of you who are not aware, it's when I forget which side of his face it was, but it was like when your face, like it, like all the muscles just like droop. He has like nerve damage or something. And his whole face was just like, it looked like he had a stroke, and he was talking all funny and he couldn't, whatever. And, and some people never recover. Like, they will have Bell's palsy, and then the whole rest of their life, their face will look like that and they'll talk like that, and it won't ever come back. But even though I don't even think it was like a 50% chance that he was going to heal from it, I forget what the odds are, but I don't think it was quite 50%. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He chose, and I don't know if this was a conscious decision or an unconscious decision, but he chose to lean into the fact that it could get better. It could be repaired. It could go back to normal. And within just a couple of weeks, like the doctor said, it's going to be at least, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks or something before you even start to notice a difference, if it's going to get better at all. And it was like maybe 3 weeks later and his face was totally back to normal. Now, there was like some practical steps he had to take. He did have to take some inspired action. He did have to do some facial like exercises. He did have to, I think there was like some icing and stuff involved, and like whatever. There was things he had to do. But if you don't believe that those exercises and that icing and those techniques are going to help, even if you do them, they will not work. But see, he was in a position where, and this is before I knew a lot of what I know now, which is why I think it's so cool, and which is why I think it was like a divinely guided recovery, because he believed that he could get better. And so he got better, and he got better so fast, like, because he believed, yeah, I am gonna recover. It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna get back to normal. It was like so quick that he was back to normal. And my mom also says, she's like, it's because he believed he was gonna get better that he got better so quickly. So this is the power of your subconscious mind. And that is extra cool to know, that you don't even necessarily have to know how the subconscious mind works for it to work for you, because it's working all of the time. Like, if that's not proof of it, I don't know what is, right? Know that faith is like a seed planted in the ground. It grows after its kind. Plant the idea or the seed in your mind, water and fertilize it with expectancy, and it will manifest. Okay? This is what Teresa and I are always talking about. If you believe it will happen, it will. And this is why affirmations work. This is why visualization works. This is why I am so adamant that everybody use subliminal affirmation audios, because you are reprogramming your thought processes unconsciously. Like, you can put the headphones in, listen to the subliminal audio while you're working, while you're cleaning the house, while you're falling asleep, while you're doing the dishes, while you're cooking dinner. You don't have to be actively doing anything, and the ideas are still soaking into your mind. And you do that enough, and it overrides even years and years, decades of beliefs, because it's the repetitive thought, it's the repetitive focus on these thoughts that are creating the difference that you want to see, right? Also, I think it's important to note that this can actually work for other people too. Like, he says somewhere in this chapter that I didn't go over it, but he says somewhere in here, when we're praying for other people, it's the same. When you visualize somebody getting better, when you visualize somebody's good fortune, when you visualize somebody's holistic transformation, it can happen for them too. When you believe that somebody else has transformed, they can, and they will, right? And this is why, when we're trying to manifest better lives for ourselves, like, let's say you want, let's say you are, there's some things in your relationship that are not exactly the way that you would ideally like them to be. A lot of people just give up and move on. But what you can do, because ultimately it's your reality and people have to respond to you the way that you expect them to, the way that you believe that they will, you can manifest that the people around you can start to shift a little bit to coincide with what you're creating for your reality. right? So you can affirm that they are helpful, that they are caring, that they are attentive, that they are um, interested in what you have going on, that they take initiative, that they are organized. Maybe that's an issue. If they are, always late and you want them to be on time or early, oh, they're always on time, and start to manifest that instead, right? But remember, nobody and nothing can show up in your reality opposite to what you believe. So you cannot walk around saying that your husband is, lazy and rude and inconsiderate and expect him to be anything but. Because not only are you not giving him a chance to grow, but you will continue to see him through those lenses because your subconscious mind is programmed to see him that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's the belief that he is these things, or that she is these things, that keeps them in that place. And I've actually I've had a client whose relationship was like this, because one was trying to grow and be, a better version, and the counterpart in the relationship continued to hold the other partner hostage to this box that they used to be in, that they used to operate by, the person that they used to be, and not allowing them to grow. This is a lot of the time, actually, I'm going to go off on a tangent here for a second. This is a lot of the time, like when we are, I know for me, like when I was stepping out into the entrepreneurship space and putting myself out on, YouTube and Instagram and all this stuff, I was really terrified that people from, say, high school were going to find me and be judgmental or think like, oh my God, like, especially here, I'm talking about like God and the universe and stuff. And I said very openly that I didn't used to believe in any of this stuff, and I would openly bash it. And I like, it's just not very good, right? So, like, if I could have seen future me now when I was in high school, I'd go, what is even happening? Like, what is going on? But we change, we grow, we evolve, right? And we know ourselves that we're changing and growing and evolving, but we don't remember or give space to the people in our lives that they're also changing and growing and evolving. We like expect them to stay who they were because that's how we know them. But we're okay with us changing. Like, we have to understand that everybody is growing and changing and evolving, and we're not the same people we used to be. I know I can think of at least a handful of girls that I went to high school with that are totally different people now than they used to be in high school, and have changed for the better. Um, I like to believe that most people change for the better. Anyway, I don't know a lot of people who have gotten worse over the years. I think everybody's gotten better. But my point is, if I'm changing, I cannot expect and look around and expect other people to not change too. So I think what we're afraid of when we step out into the spotlight, for example, is that the people from our past are going to judge us for not being who we used to be. But we forget that they're not who they used to be either. So it's possible that they are actually in a more aligned space than we thought. And by opening up, like by me saying what I'm saying, maybe it opens the gate for them to come to me and say, hey, like, I didn't know you were into this stuff. I'm into this kind of stuff too. It's kind of nice to see somebody I actually know talking about this stuff openly, so that it makes me feel like welcomed in. Now I know that I can talk to you about this stuff too. And that you're interested in these kinds of things that that I would post, but I'm afraid somebody's going to judge or whatever. Right. And it allows you to connect on this whole other way. So I say that to people all the time. I say, well, but if you aren't sharing what's important to you, you're not allowing the people who need what you have to say, or that you could bond with over these things, to know you on that level. Like, and then that plays into people pleasing, right? Because now you're pretending to be somebody you're not because you think it's going to appease to them better, but you're not even giving them a chance to know who you actually are. Do you follow me? That was a huge side tangent, but my point is that what we believe about people is what we will experience. So for example, let's go back to the high school friends, for example. If you knew somebody in high school to be, let's say she was nasty, or she would say like backhanded things, if you were to run into her now, you would still think that she was saying something backhanded to you. Now, you would expect her to be backhanded, and then no matter what she did or didn't say, you would still interpret it that way. right? So it wouldn't even matter who she is or how she's changed or not, because your expectation of her is that she's this other thing, right? And so, and that may be happening to you too, but who cares? That's not your person then. It doesn't matter, right? You're not going to be for everybody and everybody's not going to be for you. But if you do want to work on a relationship in your life, whether it is a marriage or a friendship or a work relationship, like maybe it's your boss, right? If you expect your boss to be a dick, he's going to be a dick. Right? There's no way he can't be, because that's what you're expecting of him. That's what you believe him to be. So that's how you're going to see it. That's the filter through which you're going to see him always. So until you change the way that you see him, he cannot change, right? This is like Wayne Dyer's quote that says, the way, how does it go? When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change, right? It's perspective shift. When you understand that everybody is just doing the best that they can, and some people are further along on their journey than others, and some people understand the power of the subconscious mind and some people don't, it's easier to give everybody a grain of salt, right? And also, side tangent again, you have to understand too that we are all reflections of each other. We are all mirrors. So if you say it as a boss who really makes you crazy, you have to on for one, you have to look at it and go, okay, well, what are the things that he's doing that or she doing that annoys me? And then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, where do I have the ability to possess those same attributes and characteristics? Because that's a shadow aspect. It's triggering you and irritating you because it's part of you. Like there was a guy I used to work with. My very first job, I was a cashier at Marketplace, IGA, and I loved it. It was so fun. And there was a guy I worked with, his name was Fraser, and he made me so crazy. And I realize now he made me so crazy because he was very openly and flamboyantly, I don't think he was actually, not that it matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, I don't know. He was just very outwardly himself. And he was very like loud, and he wasn't really arrogant or anything, but what I realize now is he rubbed me the wrong way because he was so freely allowing himself to be himself, and I wasn't allowing myself to be myself, so he irritated me. He rubbed me the wrong way when really if I knew then what I know now, I would have could have looked at it and gone, "Oh my god, you're only irritated with him because he's giving himself what you need, and you're not letting yourself be all of who you are." Right? But so when somebody in your life does that to you, makes you feel some type of way, triggers you in some way, you have to look at it and go, okay, well, where am I? Like I said, where do I have that aspect or where do I have the potential? Right. So let's say somebody's being a total bitch and it's just like making you crazy. You need to look at yourself and go, okay, well, what times am I a bitch? Or what times do I have the potential to be a bitch? Right? And then look at it and go, well, but it's not a bad thing because it serves you in some ways to be a bitch, right? Like there was one time, and I don't really feel like I was being a bitch, but I was buying my first vehicle. And at the time we were living in Burnaby, which is about 45 minutes because we were in traffic away from the dealership that I bought my Volkswagen in Maple Ridge, which is actually funnily enough where I live now. And that wasn't part of the plan at the time. Anyway, so my parents and I, we drove all the way out to Maple Ridge to buy this car because this dealership said they had a good deal. My dad heard a commercial on the radio, whatever. And so I come out and I do the paperwork and they say they're detailing the car and getting it ready for me or whatever. And then my dad, when he got up to walk around and went to go look at the car and he comes back and he's like, I thought you wanted a gray one. And I was like, well, I did. And he's like, well, this one out here is blue. And I was like, well, I don't want a blue one. Like I wanted a gray one. Like I talked to the dealership. They said they're bringing it in. It was called Vulcan gray. It was like a limited edition color. That's why I wanted it. Anyway. And so I was like, well, what's the deal? So then they were like frantically trying to figure out like what happened and where my car was. And it turned out that, not that it matters, but it turned out that the whoever checked the car to get it moved to the dealership that I needed it at, because I guess it was in North Van or something. Not that that matters. But anyway, they had to move it from another dealership. And whoever it was only matched the last like so many digits of the VIN number, which happened to be the same on the blue one and the gray one that I wanted. So the guy was like, okay, well, shit, like, we'll fix it. We'll get the gray one out here um, tomorrow or whatever, and you can come back out here and get it. And I went full bitch and I was like, no. I came out, this is like, I'm like, I think I was 20. Yeah, 20. This is my first car. I didn't even have my actual driver's license yet. Long story short, I got in a car accident when I was in high school. I was not driving. I was just in the car. I had like a really bad PTSD from this accident. We hit a pedestrian. It was awful. She's okay, but she needed knee surgery. Anyway, whatever. It was awful. And so I was like, I refused to drive. But then I was working at a hotel downtown Vancouver and I was taking public transit and I kept getting like hit on by drunken old weird people. And just, I was like, no, I need to get my license and I need to get a car. So anyway, so I was buying my car. And so, and they're like grown men, right? And I'm just like, I went full bitch on them and I was like, no, I came all the way out here with my parents in traffic to buy this car and leave here today. It's not my fault that you messed it up. So you are going to deliver it to me tomorrow. And they were like, and I was like, you're going to deliver it to me tomorrow. I don't care how you get it to me, but somebody is going to deliver it to me tomorrow. And they were like, okay. And they, but if I hadn't went, and you know what, to be honest, I don't even know if it was full bitch. I think I was just actually kind of standing up for myself. But anyway, it serves you at times to embody the characteristics that sometimes we're not really proud of having, right? So, like I say, when somebody triggers you, understand that that's serving you in some way because it's showing you aspects of yourself that you haven't fully integrated. Because remember that mastering yourself, it's not about being this perfect version of yourself. It's about allowing yourself to be enough as you are, all of how you are, all the traumas, all the things you need to work through, all the limiting beliefs, all the ways that you're not who you want to be, and just allowing it to be enough and loving yourself no matter what, like having unconditional love for yourself, right? And then the second side of that is, at the very least, when somebody triggers you and you're irritated with them and you understand the shadow aspect, like this guy, like I said, that I was working with at IGA that was like super annoying. um, at the very minimum, when you don't allow somebody to just be enough as they are, you also don't allow yourself to be enough as you are, right? Because when you're busy judging somebody else for all the ways that they're not who you think they should be or how do you think they should be, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between something that's happening to you and somebody else. So you internalize all of that, and what you're really saying is, I'm not allowing myself to be all of who I am and need to be and want to be, right? So there's so much more to relationships than we realize. So when somebody close to you, especially like that, and those are the ones that tend to affect us the most, when somebody close to you is not acting the way that you think they should or want them to, look at yourself and go, okay, well, where am I also doing and being and, not doing and being what I'm expecting this person to be and do and have. And also, I'm not perfect either. So it's not realistic for me to expect this person to be perfect when I'm not perfect. And it's also not fair to myself to hold myself to a perfection standard when that's not even possible. And that's not even the point. Like, nobody's saying you have to be perfect before you can have everything that you want. And the other day in church, we actually were, see, church, I would never, so funny. Anyway, we were talking about Jesus, obviously. I go to a Baptist church, if you're curious. And they were talking about how, look, like, Jesus loves you no matter what. Like, he knows all of what you have done, haven't done, should be doing, lied about, like where you're out of integrity, where you're this, where you're that, and he loves you anyway, right? And so the purpose of the sermon was, you need to give yourself that same um like freedom, right? To just be who you are and just allow yourself to just not be perfect and recognize that that's not possible and it's not part of it, right? You don't need to be perfect to manifest everything that you want. You just need to focus on what you do want and believe that it's possible for you. And the key to this is believing that it's possible for you, even though you're not perfect, because you never will be. It's not going to happen. right? So if you think you have to be perfect to have everything that you want, and you have to work through all these limiting beliefs, and you have to overcome all of these traumas, and you have to change all of these things, and you have to be this perfect version of yourself to have what you want, you're never going to have what you want. It's just never going to happen. And I think Teresa, yes, she made it.
I was rushing, running. My goodness.
Well, you made it anyway.
Well, it's already almost to the end, but I had so much to say.
Yeah, say.
Reading this chapter, I was thinking about when I was a kid, right? And my dad always came home with something new. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of arnica. It's supposed to be a healing, medicinal thing or whatever. But my dad had so much belief in that. Everywhere he put it, he literally got healed. So because that happened for him, and he had so many areas on his body that he was struggling with, he was in pain. He needed a hip replacement. Everybody that at the time I played softball, right? So, everybody that he came across, he was like, here you go. Here's this arnica. It's going to heal you. Rub it on everything. And they would take it and they would use it. And it was kind of like, well, nothing happened. So as a kid, I used to be like, what the fuck? Like, this man's heart is into this stuff. Like, how is it healing him? It works for him. But the people that he gives it to, nothing's happening. But it was his belief. Whatever he did, like, he did it with 100% heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it was that he was going to give himself to or was involved in. Now it makes absolute sense, right? It was his belief in that shit. Somebody gave it to him and told him, you use this, rub it on the different areas, you're going to be healed.
Yeah.
He was like, fuck yeah, I am. And he was that type of person. Like, he's going to shake you. I'm telling you, this shit works. That's how much belief he had in the things that he shared with people. But because they didn't hold that belief, nothing fucking happened.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. Now it makes sense. But as a kid, I was always like, okay, what's going on? What is going on? So this chapter had that like really triggered in my mind. Like, oh my gosh, now it really fucking makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also love how this chapter is kind of molding together the woo-woo with the Christianity or just religion kind of aspect in general, because it's funny. I had a lady yesterday or the day before yesterday, complete meltdown, heartbreak, just feeling hopeless, lost, and somebody who that I've had a session with recommended her to come to me. So I spoke to her for like 45 minutes. Everything I said, she was like, yes, 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 this is it, Teresa. Like, your shit, and like, everything I'm going through. I'm like, yeah, I've walked through the fire. So when people come to me, I can automatically dissect what you're going through, and I know exactly where to take you to. So when she started asking me a little bit more about the Reiki sessions and what happened, I said, how I get psychic information, right? We're moving the energy around, and I start tapping into your energy field, and then I get information. That's how you guys have to think about it, right? It's like downloads that are stuck in your body. And as I move it around, I'm getting them. I'm hearing the how would you say, like, the different programmings activated. It's telling me, oh, this is what it is. Oh, this is what's been programmed here. This is programmed there. But once I told her that, it was like, oh, I don't believe in psychic stuff. I don't believe in none of that.
Well,
and that was the end of the call. That was the end of the conversation. And I was like, wow. But you know what? We can't force anybody to be on this path. But one thing I did tell her is that when I started this journey, one of the closest people to me, which was my mother, was totally against everything I said. Right? So, this hits this too. It says not to share everything with everybody who is not on this path.
Yeah.
Why? Because you get shot down. Then their negative beliefs, thinking, their energy gets put onto you, and we're all connected, and it affects everything. So if you're not 100% fully standing in your power, you cannot be around people who are against this until you're completely ready, because they will knock you out of alignment. You'll start questioning who the fuck you are. You'll start questioning your own abilities.
Yeah.
This chapter is talking about that right now. You know how we go. It's like tangent over here, tangent over there. But so, my mom was one of the ones that was like, Don't open that door. Don't go down there. Don't touch tarot. Don't do this. All this fear and that's evil and better not. I said, okay, let me ask you a question. I even asked this lady this on the phone. I said, so are you one of those people who, when somebody passes away in your family, you believe that the babies see your loved ones? Like, how many people say this, right? Oh, well, the baby was putting their hands out for grandma and grandpa. That's who it had to be, Like, I know my baby sees them. Oh, yeah, of course. I said, let's simmer on that one for a second. You believe that about that baby, right? That the baby has these special powers, psychic abilities to see loved ones who passed away, but you weren't always a fucking adult. You were that baby. Is the baby evil? Does the baby have evil powers because they can see the other side? You believe in that? That's like psychic phenomenon, right? And she was like, "Oh, well, yeah, but well, it's not the same." I'm like, "How is it not the same? You started off with as that baby. You started
Yeah.
off with these abilities and these powers. But what happens, right? We go through society. The first day of school, you get tainted. Your pureness, done. Now you've entered this matrix system that's there to make us forget who we are, to shut our gifts down, to be afraid of them, right? Then you have family members who are fearful of it and telling you that this is evil and you shouldn't do these things. And when we're all healers, we're all creators. And so I love how this chapter is like intertwining, weaving the two, right? It
Yeah.
brings up verses from the Bible
Yeah.
that is just like, whoa, here you go. And we've said this before. The Bible is a book of manifestation. Literally, it's showing you the power of the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
You become God when you become one with that. Literally.
Yes. Well, and like you said, that this is the reason why I've been drawn to the church, because I didn't really understand, but it's because it helps full circle like explain, and it helps me understand it deeper, helps me teach it from a different angle. It helps, like, it's just
Well, think about this. So I had this realization, right? On a part of my journey, I was all about church because that's what I needed in that point in time. That's the only thing that gave me hope.
yeah,
But then once the whole, you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't be around your family if your family's not on this path, that shit didn't sit right with me. It
yeah,
didn't, because my mind was like, shouldn't I be more around my family? If I'm following God and I'm following these ways, I should be more around them to help them, to bring them just certain things that didn't sit with
right,
me.
yeah,
So then I steered away from it. And then I realized on this path, obviously, that I don't have to go to church or anywhere else. God is within me. I could connect through my own self. But a church near my house, they have house of prayer every first Wednesday of the month, and it's just worship. So we went, and what I realized in that moment, okay, everybody there, once the worship starts, the music starts, everybody's heart starts opening.
yeah,
Okay, everybody is there to heal. Everybody's love energy is now vibrating through the whole church. Then the pastor said, I invoke the Holy Spirit through all of you right now. My mind was blown. When he did that, I instantly felt like what it feels like when Reiki comes through me. So now I
mm,
connect that to the Holy Spirit. And I even think about that as I'm calling in the Reiki, right? I'm connecting to the Holy Spirit. Because it's not me that's the one I'm a channel. Killers,
yeah,
we're channels, we're
yeah,
conduits, we're connecting to this energy. So I was like, oh my gosh, part of our journey here with star seeds and light workers, we are supposed to combine the two. So I had this huge realization. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a hospital for the soul right here. It's one huge Reiki session when it's a house of prayer and this
yeah,
worship. It's that energy magnified now. That's
yeah,
why it felt so amazing. So it changed my perspective again, like, damn, okay, I started away from the church, but now part of my job here is how do you combine the two, right? And this book is
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah.
And it's starts making sense to why, some people who go to church and they pray to God, their prayers are coming true and others are not. You have to. There's
Yeah.
no other way around it. You have to combine the laws of the universe because we live in this universe. There's certain laws that exist. The subconscious mind is the creator, okay, which is connected straight to source. It's connected straight to God. That's where we're getting the information and downloads, okay? You have to connect the two. You have to have faith. Okay. No wavering in your faith.
Yeah.
No wavering in your thoughts or your desires and your things that you're trying to create. There's no wavering in it.
Yeah.
100% belief in what it is that you're bringing in. Therefore, it is. It has to manifest. It has to.
Yeah.
But the people, I feel like some people are naturally in tune, right? They're just manifesting. There's others who are not. Those are the ones, right, that are not combining the prayer with the power of the subconscious mind and the universe. And they're praying and praying and praying and praying and praying. And the next thing you know, they're like, God doesn't exist. There's no higher power. Nobody, my prayers are never answered. When all along it's us
Yeah.
not doing the things correctly, not combining the two together.
Well, exactly. And I think that's one of the things that, like, when we first started talking about going to
11
church,
11 when I looked at my time that I've been in here.
there you go. When we started going to church, because initially, I mean, you've heard me say I don't really agree with organized religion, and I mean, a lot of it gets a bad rap, and some of it is a little bit whatever. But anyway, I was like, my son started asking about going, and I was like, okay, well, you know what? I can get behind the idea that I can set the intention for myself. I can set the intention that everybody there is there for positive intention. Like they all believe in what they're going for. They're going to show their love and appreciation for something bigger than themselves. I can get behind that. I can, I think the energy, being around the energy is good, right? So I was like, okay, I can get behind that. And then we started going. And I think it really does matter which church you go to, not necessarily which, well, I guess for each person it matters like what kind of church, but I mean like find whatever you believe in, finding a church that feels good to you. Like the one we go to, like I've been invited to many churches. People are always trying to invite me to their freaking church, right? It's like, no, I don't know, no, no, no. And then finally we were invited to this one, and for some reason we ended up going and we really like it. But I also find that it's a very welcoming energy. Like they're very like, look, like we were talking to one of the pastors about alcohol, for example, and he's like, look, we don't have rules about drinking or not drinking or whatever. And they're like, I think it's fine as long as you can agree that it's not hindering um your like intentions for life. He didn't say it like that, but basically like if it starts to weigh on your faith and how you want to live and who you want to be, then that's when it becomes a problem. But until then, you can do whatever you want. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? If you feel good about who you are, then that's fine, right? But so that's like the premise of that's why we like the church we go to. But everybody there, which is one of the reasons why I like to go, everybody there believes in this higher power. They believe that they are being watched over by somebody else. They believe that when they show up for somebody else, they will be reciprocated, right? And so that power of belief. So they don't understand manifestation, but they understand at the very minimum the power of belief, right? And
Right.
Teresa, you better take this question here.
Solar plexus, that's your personal power.
Yeah.
You're not stepping into your power at all. Um, you're gonna have to sit down and do a brain dump exercise. Where are you giving out your power? Where have you been giving it out your whole life? Right? Reevaluate that. Where do you need to step up as the man or the woman in control and in charge of your life? No more people pleasing. The color yellow, okay, that helps open it as well. You can do on YouTube, there's a lot of solar plexus chakra meditations. You could do one in the morning. You can listen to the frequency as you're going to sleep, that's specifically for that area. And one of the things that you're going to want to do is call back your power. you know you're going to do it on a daily basis. When you're going to bed, I call back my power to me from all the places that I have given it out consciously or unconsciously, and I release people's power that I have taken from them consciously or unconsciously from this lifetime, past lifetimes, alternate timelines, dimensions, and realities. Okay. Does that help you at all?
It's helpful. I'm sure it's helpful
And
because
welcome,
that's
Damien. Welcome.
so.
You
Yeah,
also get some energy healing. Oh, awesome.
from France.
Welcome from
Amazing.
France. I'm in California.
And I'm in BC, Canada. That's so funny. I love it. But yeah, but again, right? Personal power. Like this question's coming up in this conversation for a reason,
It's a
related
collective
to
thing right now.
right.
Definitely. If you have you ever had any form of energy healing to get the blockages out of there?
Yeah, that'll be hugely powerful. And honestly, you should see Teresa for a Reiki session because they're amazing. She's phenomenal. Teresa, you've been doing Reiki on me now for how long have you been doing Reiki for now? A couple of years? 3 years?
Since 19
Oh,
July 2019.
yeah.
But it
Okay, so
wasn't
that's
at the level that it is today, let me tell you.
no, but that's already 5 years. Wow, it's been that long. Time it's just like
Right.
goes so crazy. But Teresa has been doing Reiki on me the entire like I volunteered as guinea pig at the beginning. I said like do it on me. I want to see because we were also practicing doing distance Reiki, right? So I was like, use me as a guinea pig, try. And not her. She has a natural gift. Very obviously, if anybody who's ever had a Reiki session with Teresa, and I know some
Thank
people
you.
even watching the replay will see this, though she has a natural gift, and it has gotten intensely better in the last 5 years. Like we had a session, she did a session for me actually on Lionsgate Portal, which was like kind of by accident. I wanted one, and that was the only time that we both had available. And then it just happened that we found it. We're like, oh yeah, it's the 8th. So that was like amazing. Not a, I mean, that obviously worked out the way it needed to for a reason. And it was like amazing because get this. So part of what Teresa does, which is different than what I have had several Reiki sessions done from, or several different practitioners, I should say. And what I really love about the way that Teresa does it is it's not just Reiki. Like she says, she channels all of this other. I don't even know if she's got psychic abilities. Yes, but I don't know. She's like I don't know. When she's done, she'll say like, "I saw this," and your guide said like my guides love to talk to Teresa because she listens and she's not a well. I remember the very first time you channeled a message for me, you were like, "Okay, I've been literally hearing this for 3 days, and I can't not tell you because they're not leaving me alone." But since then, I know that she will channel the messages that I need, and I know that what she's saying to me is coming from a channeled place. But then, to my point, so this last Reiki session she did for me, she does cards, which are amazing, and then she does the session. Aligns the energy, opens the chakras, balances all the things, talks to whoever she talks to. Like neither of us really know how it works.
I'm holding a space for, I only invite obviously light beings
Well,
to
yes.
come in, but a lot of times, well, actually so I had one the other day, and right before I was going to start, it said invite benevolent ancestors in, his and yours. So I did. And as soon as I got started, I was on his crown chakra and I was moving, and then all of a sudden, very gently, they pushed me to the side, and then it was like I just kind of was stuck, and they said all we need you to do is hold space. So I was like, okay. So I held the space, and I literally instantly felt like all of his ancestors, um council of light, everything around the bed. And then a lot of times like the angels will grab my hands, and then I started like speaking light language. And it was crazy, because as it happens, it doesn't matter how many times I do it, I still get shocked. Like, what the fuck is going on? This is crazy. But I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because the feeling is just so beautiful. And when I was done, he was like, what just happened? I was like, it was beautiful, huh? He was like, it was so beautiful, but like, it was like you weren't doing it. Like there was just my ancestors and a bunch of beings around the bed, and they were just loving on me and healing me. I was like, yeah, they moved me to the side and they wanted to do the session themselves. So
That's
I held the
crazy.
space and I allowed them to do the healing necessary, you know?
Well, it's crazy the way that it works, and like it is no joke because in my last session she channeled some of the messages she channeled include like some of the, and it's funny because she'll recall what she heard, and as she's saying, she's like, it doesn't really make sense, but it's kind of like when you think of a when you're like recalling a dream when you first wake up, right? And you're like, it doesn't really make sense, but this happened, and then it, like there's points you're like, oh, okay, and this is why I said that earlier because this and that. So one of the things that
Yeah.
she
It's because I get downloaded with so much
right,
information, and then, like, I'm just going, and it's just channeling. So if I'm not, like, with a pen and a paper writing it down, it's like I'm in a trance, and then at the end of the session, I don't remember everything until I start speaking, or then the client will say, like, "Oh, I experienced that. Oh, yeah, we traveled to Sirius," you know? That
yeah,
too, like, he had sent me a picture of these, of the night sky with stars earlier in the day, and literally they took him up to that picture. It was crazy. It's crazy, but so beautiful.
that's mental. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
in my last session with you, you channeled that message that I even with all the things that we know and how long we've been doing this, I've still been too logical. And so I need to open to my spiritual side. And then my birthday was just a couple of days later. And for those people who know me more closely know that I use my birthday as like a New Year's kind of a turnover portal, kind of a let's start again kind of a situation, right? And so then I think I said this in the last session too, in the last podcast episode too. Now I was journaling, and it came through that I needed to start working, not only being more spiritual, but like literally the message was you need to start channeling God in the mornings. And I was like, okay. And so I've been doing that since then because and Teresa's the one who opened that channel for me because that's not something that I necessarily would have specifically journaled on had I not been prompted already, right? And so and then that led me to now I do that every morning. I channel God and as I'm writing in my journal. And I have only been doing it for my birthday was the 11th. I've been doing it since the 12th. It's only the 25th today. So I've only been doing it like a week. And some of the most profound shit has come through in
Yeah.
my, it's crazy.
That's one thing about Reiki, right? It starts opening your gifts, or it opens you to exactly what you're supposed to be receiving at this time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um either which way, I just say 100% that it starts opening you to your spiritual side. It's just coming in. I can't really speak for, I've never really talked to other Reiki practitioners to know exactly what they experience. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know if everything that happens in mine happens in other people's.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. But all I know is that mine, especially right now, are extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Extremely powerful.
I don't think everybody channels it the way that you do because I've had other Reiki sessions and I've had other good Reiki sessions. Like there's nothing wrong with them. It's just like, for example, my one really good girlfriend, she does Reiki, and my mom and I we did like a spring solstice thing together and it included Reiki. And so she did Reiki and it was great and fantastic. And I felt amazing afterwards. But because I'm spoiled and I get Reiki sessions with Teresa, I find that now I really want like I like to know what you saw and what happened and what the messages were, and I like to and not that I can't share what happened to me, but I also don't feel as much as I feel when you're doing it. Like anyway, my point is I think I've only had a handful of other practitioners do it on me over the years. Um but I would definitely say you are the most and I'm this is going to sound like I'm biased, but I mean I am kind of, but I'm not though. Like you are definitely the most gifted one for sure because there's more. It's not
Thank you.
just Reiki, and that's what I wish people would understand about when they're choosing a Reiki practitioner, to understand that it's not you're not necessarily just getting Reiki. Like with you, it's not just Reiki. Like I know that's what we call it when we're talking about it, but that's not all that it is. Like it's so much more than that. And I just I wish there was a better I wish I could find a better way to articulate the power of the sessions that you hold versus the other practitioners that I've had because And of course, you can't speak about your own gifts the way, just like I have a hard time speaking about the what I do for my clients. It's hard for me, like, because it's natural for us. It's just what we do. So it's hard for me to see it and then articulate it in a way that like makes sense, But
Right.
anyway, everybody needs to contact Teresa for a Reiki session. That's all I can say. It's so good.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy with them lately.
I know you have. It's good.
Dang. I got to be careful what I ask for. I mean, I wanted this, it's a blessing 100,000,000%. But like when it starts coming in, you got to make sure that you're ready to carry it all. But it's my passion. I absolutely love it. I love to see the transformation. I have somebody that I'm working with right now. I've done 3 sessions with him, and he is not even the same human. I mean, because we're not human, right? I've awakened his spirit. I've awakened his soul on a whole different level. And he's just completely turned around. And now his gifts are opening completely. He messaged me earlier today and he's like, "You're not going to believe this. I met this Cambodian spiritualist healer who's blown my fucking socks off." He's like, "You just totally opened me to this shit." And then he's like, "And now I'm diving deep into crystal grids." He's like, "They've been thrown in my lap. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I've never felt this good in my life." It's so amazing. It's so amazing to be part of that in somebody's life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I don't have the exact same gift, but I know what it's like to help somebody with your gift and then to watch them benefit from that. And it's
Your
just like,
gifts are now opening, Danielle. We've opened the spiritual
yeah,
side of you now.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
And here's the thing, each one of us has completely different gifts
yeah,
because we're supposed to bring them together. And I was
yeah,
so excited when he told me this earlier. I was like, dude, I'm like a little kid. I'm holding your fucking hands right now. We're jumping around and we're yelling. Like the kids and us are yelling together right now. I was like, you have no idea how much I've been wanting to get into the crystal gritting. I bought a book, I read it, but there was so much to it. And I'm like, fuck, I really have so much on my plate. I
yeah,
need, right? We're gridding the planet right now. Each one of us, we're gridding the light where we are. We're opening our gifts so that we can combine them. Now, right now, he's going to start opening to this. This is exactly what I need. Now he could bring his gifts to me.
yeah.
He can enhance mine as I'm enhancing his.
Mhm.
You right now have the automatic writing. That's just the beginning. Just the beginning. This is you. You haven't really tapped into this side like I have. You know what I'm saying? I'm more the woo woo. You're the more the logical. And now look at we're combining. And how
Yeah.
beautiful is it when you combine the two?
Oh, it's amazing. And it's like, it's just funny little things too. Like, just silly example, when I was having that call, I was telling you, I had the call with my client the other day, and she was telling me about this friend that she's had since she was a kid, and they met for the first time when they were like 11 or 12, and they meet in this barn, like a riding stable, and they look at each other and they're just like, "I know you." And they're in their 40s now, have not been able to place how they know each other. And as she's telling me this story, I heard clear as fucking day, as if somebody was standing behind me saying they were sisters in another
Past
lifetime.
life.
Yeah.
Past life. Immediately.
Yes. So I let her finish talking, and I'm listening to what she's saying still. Like, I'm not just like waiting for her to finish. Like, I'm listening to her, right? And then and then she gets to the part where she says, and then she had this impromptu wedding and asked me to be her maid of honor. And I'm just like, you were sisters. Like, that was confirmation to me of what I already
Yeah.
knew, right? Because I was like, who do you get to be your maid of honor? Your sister, right? Well, not everybody, but you get it. So she's
So
finished telling her story, and I say to her, I just heard, and I don't claim like I know this. I'm saying I just
your
heard.
gifts are opening, baby.
Yes, I know.
Wide
So I say
open.
to her, and this was like icing on the cake, because I say to her, I just heard that you were sisters in a past life. And she got full body chills. And I was just
Yep.
like, okay. And
That's
she knows
that's
by now, and I know,
confirmation.
and you know, that that's
Yep.
confirmation. Exactly. So I
Yep.
was like, oh my God. And then so I
Yeah.
was like, as soon
So
as we got off the call, I was like, Teresa.
before I started his session, and I pulled from a deck of cards that I don't usually use, but Spirit was like, he needs really deep rooted confirmation messages here. So I was telling him, like his bloodline is very powerful, but they've, like Spirit was showing me, they've been shut down for centuries. None of them are in their power. But I saw it was because of some kind of like a fear of some kind of disaster, but I couldn't see exactly what yet, right? So in session, Oh my gosh. I cried. Like, okay, this is the first time I literally was bawling my fucking ass off. I saw immediately that he was my brother in a past life,
Oh my God.
which is wild. That's the first time that that's happened to me. So I saw that he was my brother in a past life. Then we immediately got taken to Atlantis. And I told him, I said, you are so fucking powerful. This is before I started the session. I said, you have no idea. I'm like, spirit is showing me your gifts are insane, bro. Like when you awaken fully, you're going to fucking knock everybody out of the water. So I saw him as a baby. He was like in this crystal, and and it was, we were in Atlantis, and he was held above, like he was the main baby of the city, like Jesus was
Oh
for the
God.
people,
Yeah.
and light was just coming out of him, and everyone in Atlantis knew who this baby was and that he must be protected at all times, period. Like that was the golden one,
Yeah.
those his gifts were going to kill everybody at all times, although at that time they were showing like everybody had their gifts open, but so just imagine how powerful he is. Well, all of a sudden it showed me in my mind, and he saw this too, the destruction of Atlantis,
Mm.
and he got killed. I just started crying and crying and crying. I was like, oh my gosh, my brother, I couldn't save him. And then like his family at that time too, like it took everybody out, and then from that time moving forward it shut down, like out of fear, and because they had that memory from that time in them, nobody stepped in their power since then. And I was telling him different things that was being shown that people in his family do and how they act, and he's like, how is that possible, Teresa? How do you know this? I was like, because they're showing me.
Yeah.
They're showing me in my head. Who's they all the time? I don't fucking know, but I just
Yeah.
take it and I run with it because
Yeah.
it's always the truth.
Right.
I said, but this is what it's showing. If you are in my space and you're being brought to me, is because it's fucking time. You are the one in your fucking bloodline that has been chosen. Guess what that means? That means that this path here on this earth is not fucking easy. You're going to experience a shit ton of darkness, but it's for a reason, because once you become the alchemist, you step into your power, you transmute that pain to power, you're fucking unstoppable, bro. Unstoppable. And then, it's crazy too. I'm telling you right now, the way my energy is like a fucking catalyst on a whole different level. And he has somebody who's raised in all of this stuff, right? So she's very powerful in her energy and her gifts and stuff. And he was talking to her, he said, and he was telling her what was happening. And she was like, yeah, right. There's no way that you're moving that fast. I know you. I know who you are. Oh, this chapter of this book, right? This chapter of
Yeah.
this book talking about this.
Yeah.
And he felt some type of way, and he was messaging me. I said, look, I don't give a fuck who she is or anybody else, even myself.
Yeah.
You are still the fucking one.
Yeah.
You must listen to your own discernment, your own intuition. Don't let somebody who's, higher than you because they've been raised in this tell you who the fuck you are or aren't.
Yeah.
She's nobody. I'm nobody to tell you. You don't even have to listen to what I'm saying. Take what I say with it, with a grain of salt, and listen to your own intuition and see if that resonates with you.
Right.
You go with that, because you yourself know all things, and stay in your fucking power.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But anyways, side tangent.
But anyways.
For sure. For sure.
No, but that's one of the reasons why I love your particular Reiki sessions, is because always what you say resonates with me so. I mean, we obviously are very close too, so you know a lot more of my personal life details than a regular, client would. But I don't think that matters. Like I don't with how gifted you are, I don't think that matters. But for me, and maybe it is a bit of my, my belief and my subconscious or whatever, but
what matters is how comfortable you are.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
A lot of people who come to me that don't know me that well, they just know like what I'm saying resonates with them, and they feel the first, or let's say they've never had any type of energy work.
Yeah.
I don't feel that the session is as intense, right? They're still going to get the healing. We're still going to put them in a deep meditative state, but they may not have things that are so profound happen to them. Whereas somebody who's like, they feel comfortable, they trust, they're already kind of into this stuff. Now you're just wide open.
Yeah.
You're open and ready to receive, and it comes in at a different caliber. 100%.
Yeah. No, 100, it does, because I know that, like, I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, what is she gonna dig up?" Because you already know all the things, and B, I know that whatever comes up, even if it's something that, like, you're not gonna be like, "Oh, fuck," like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Right,
just
right.
so I think that is the comfort for me. But you always give me something that I need and that I didn't know I need. Like, I never, and well, you don't even ask me, but I never ask specific questions either. I
I never ask
always
anybody
no.
anything.
Yeah.
Only recently I started, just because I have, after reading this book more than, 2 3 times, it really, I was like, fuck, you know what? The power of suggestion. You have them in this meditative state where their subconscious is wide
Yeah.
open. Ask them what they really want help with, just so I can add to the power of it.
Mm,
Either which way, I'm still going to get hits. I'm still going to get information, like you're saying
yeah.
right now, right? I usually don't fucking ask you what's going on or what do you need help with, unless we're doing
Yeah.
like the mindset coaching part, which I do add to the Reiki session. But somebody like you who's already in this, I'm not
Yeah.
really asking you no questions. We're like, come on, let's just get the shit. And then they come up and they tell me,
Yeah.
and it's right. It's on point.
Yeah.
Most people that I don't ask anything, it's not even most. It's always fucking on point. It's always on point.
Well, and that's why, even no matter what, anytime I'm doing any kind of session at all, whether it's human design or anything, when they ask me, because I know better by now, when they ask me, what are you looking to get? I just say, you know what? If it involves channeling any kind of message for me, I just say, you know what? It really doesn't matter what I want, because my guides are going to say loud and clear what it is. I mean, you've spoken to
Mhm.
them. So it's like, I'm not even going to bother trying to tell you what I want, because it doesn't matter, because I'm going to get what I need. So I always just say, that's my intention, is that I just get what I need, because, well, and I think I learned that from you channeling them, that they're just like, no, like, this is what it is. So, like, don't beat around the bush. This is what it is.
Yep. Now, guys, whether you're going to follow the things that are channeled and told for you to do or not, that's a whole different fucking story, you know?
Yeah.
I have people who come to me, they're super broken. Um, and that one session, they feel absolutely amazing. But I tell them, hey, guess what? It's not a one time deal. And this is the realization I had. I was talking to, there's a different modality that I wanted to add to this. And I was talking to the lady who does it. And it was crazy. She was like, "Oh yeah, Dr. Joe Dispenza was at my office last week." And I was like, "Fuck, Spirit is leading me on a whole different path right
Okay,
now.
here we go.
This shit is gonna blow Reiki out of the fucking water." Right? But the thing that got me is she was like, because I asked her how many sessions, and the shit that she's healing, she can literally just touch them and she knows exactly what it is that caused it. I mean, she's on a whole different level, okay? Um, and I told her, like, how many sessions? She's like, well, some people need up to 7. And I was like, why would they need so many? And we're always talking about the neuronal pathways in the brain, right? And the vibration, carrying this higher vibration and how it pulls us back down. But I didn't really connect it with healing specific aspects, right? So she has
Mm,
actually specific diseases. And she was like, well, you have to break the neuronal pathways to the disease. And I was like, what? Are you getting what I'm saying
mm.
right now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? Because we keep saying this about, oh, your vibration is going to pull you back down. Da, da, da. But then when she said those words, I was like, oh my gosh, even more so. Why do you need more than one Reiki session? Not only because
Yeah.
there's a lot of shit that's been built up and blockages in the body.
Mhm.
I've only had one person that's come in, got one session, and it just like, she was good to go. One
Mm,
person. Most that doesn't happen to, right?
yeah.
However old you are, that's how much shit that's trapped up in here.
Mhm.
Plus, then you go on your own. If you're not doing the things that I'm telling you to do, negative thinking, more trapped emotions, more trauma that you're going through, you're blocking yourself up all over again,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So,
also, like, I would imagine too, like, even if you are doing the things, like, you get to another point where it's like, okay, well, now I've got, I don't see any way that it can stay, unless you are literally doing everything you're supposed to be doing, like meditating for, however many minutes a day, and like staying balanced. And I mean, yeah, I guess you can, but I feel like I just well, but I like it too. Like just like how relaxing it is. Like I just
Yeah.
it's like a energetic massage kind of.
I think my family is addicted to it right now. Literally, they're like, "Okay, I need more. I need more. It's time. It's already been a week. I need another session." I'm just calling it a Reiki high now. They're on
Yeah.
a Reiki high,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know,
Yeah.
combined with all my other extra shit that spirit has me do that I don't even question anymore. I just do it.
I love it.
So
Well, all I know, like I said, you guys need to book a session with Teresa because it's amazing. She's so good.
thank
It's
you.
amazing. You're welcome. You are 1,000,000%. I'm so glad that you followed that calling. And I remember when you were doing it too, you were like, well, I'm going. I don't know if it doesn't make sense right now, but I'm doing it because I keep being called this way. And here we are. So,
Yep.
and
And
it's
I went through
amazing.
hell just to get there
I
to
remember.
take the class, and then hell from the class back home. Oh my gosh. But I didn't let anything stop me, you guys.
No.
And just, as we're ending this right now, the energy right now is so insane. And yesterday, it doesn't matter where you are in this journey, you're still gonna have fucking challenges, period.
Mhm.
Yesterday I was challenged like a motherfucker. Literally, I was like, Satan, bitch, not today. You are not going to take me off of my high. My life is unfolding too amazing right now. But let me
Mhm.
tell you, like, I was being hit in every direction. And I even messaged you at one point, right? I had to sit there for 15 minutes and regulate my fucking nervous system back to basics
Mhm.
every single time because I've been in such a high vibration. There's
Yeah.
new challenges, right?
Yeah.
And we're under spiritual warfare. There's new attacks on this new level. But I'm a fucking demon slayer. And I came here to change this bitch. Like, ain't nothing gonna break me at this point. But I'm
No.
just letting you guys know there's challenges every next level. And right now, this energy of this blue moon and everything is wild. I
Mhm.
had somebody come to me today that was like, dude, and I didn't even tell them about my yesterday. And it was like, I've been being challenged all fucking day. Literally anything that could happen happened to me. And I just started laughing. I was like, okay, it's collective. So, you guys, stay focused on the end game, the end result. Stay in that story. No matter what's thrown at you, nervous system regulation, keep your fucking thoughts on track. Anything that's coming in that is not related to this new story, this new life that you're creating and want to manifest, kick that shit out. If your emotions get out of control, hey, I had to go to the restroom where I was. I did breath work on the toilet in a public restroom because guess what? That's how important my path that I'm on is to me. So when people say, well, I don't have time or I couldn't do this, well, how important is this fucking new life that you want to create to you? Nothing's going to
Yeah.
stop me.
No. And I'm going to use my famous quote right now. We always have time for the things we prioritize.
Right.
So if and you have to decide, right? Like I don't know, it's written in how many books. It's like, okay, look, it's hard to transform, but it's hard to stay the same. So like choose your hard. What would you rather? Like what
Amen.
and it takes, I wrote this, I channeled this like just little statement. It was like, look, it takes the same amount of energy to doubt as it does to believe. So
Yep.
what do you
Yep.
want?
Simple
Like
as that.
it takes energy either way. So I would rather spend my energy even if I look a little bit delusional, I don't really care because guess what? I'm going to get where I want to go and then that's going to be that. So
That's right.
that's all it
I
is.
fear staying in the same place more than I fear whatever challenges that I got to face to get where the fuck I'm going.
Well, and
That's it.
also though, when you are in that mindset, you understand that the challenges that you're facing are helping you. Like in
Yep.
some way. It maybe in the moment it feels like absolute shit, but there's a purpose for
That
that
part.
too. Nothing happens by accident. So it's like even when you're going through something totally rough, it's like, okay, well, whatever though, this is part of it because it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't part of it. And that's
Yeah.
why
Again, right? Again, absolute faith, absolute trust, surrender to the knowing that the shit is taken care of. And if you are repeating every single day that, my life is perfect, everything is the unfolding of my manifestation, have belief behind that as well. Because
Mhm.
I promise you, it's the fucking truth.
Yeah.
Like Danielle said, in that moment when you're going through the shit, it's a shit storm. It is a literal shit storm. You want to give up, you want to throw in
Yeah.
the towel, but you can't. You can't.
No.
Hey,
No.
you know what? This is the unfolding of my manifestation. This is the unfolding of my manifestation. And then when you get to the other side, you're going to look back and you're going to see it really was.
Yeah.
It really was. And you're going to be so grateful that you did not give up.
No, because I'm going to leave one more thing and then we can, then we'll be done. But honestly, like Teresa knows we met it was like a manifestation group coaching program, right? Where she said, you're going to have like anywhere you want to be at the end of the year, you're going to have it and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, okay, but we're not even going to get into that whole thing. But anyway, I remember being so irritated that I was nowhere near where I thought I was going to be based on what I was being sold and told at the beginning, right? At the end. And I was like, well, where the fuck's my big house and all my money and my car and like all this stuff, right? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I don't, And because I remember at one point she was like, yeah, I see all that for you. And you know what? I do believe that all of that is still somewhere. But the thing is, what I didn't understand then that I understand now is, okay, there's two things I'm going to say. One is that if I had reached the level of success I would have needed to reach to get that kind of financial gain, I would have crawled under a rock and died because it would have been way too much pressure for me to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But also, and I've said this in a past episode, but I'm going to say it again. And I'm probably going to say it every episode for the rest of my life because it's just what I believe now to be true. Like I heard it so clearly one day and it's just like, I get it now. It's that I don't even want those same things anymore, but I needed to want those things at the time so that I was pushed in the direction I needed to go, so that I would learn the things I needed to learn, so that I would become the person I needed to become. But the only way at that time that I was going to go was the promise of all these material things that I thought I wanted. Okay. So like I said before, these are desires. Yes, they're meant for us, but also it's okay that they change. You don't have to stay married to your desires just because you once wanted them. And it doesn't mean that you're any less than just because you don't still want them. I realize that I don't want those things anymore, at least not right now. But I see that those big, grandiose, mansion, fucking Maserati, all the things was the breadcrumbs. It's funny, I know, but it's not, but if you want those things, like, that's fine. We're not laughing because you can't have those things. We're laughing because it's so off of what I want now. But I needed to want those things so that I followed those breadcrumbs in those big ways and made the decisions that I made to get me closer to where I thought I wanted to be so that I would end up where I am and realize I don't need those things. Do you follow me? Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep.
With that, thank you guys for hanging out with us for the whole hour and a half. I appreciate it. Teresa, thanks for being able to make it for the last little bit. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. And I hope you can make it. And if you're watching on the replay, let us know below because we would love to be able to say hi and thank you for hanging out with us, even on the replay. So with that, you guys have a fantastic night. Teresa, I love you so much. I will see all of you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.